Hello my loves, welcome or welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well and you're doing okay. So today's video is going to be my September TBR, so without further ado let's get straight into the video and see what I'm reading for September. So first things first, apologies for the lack of content in August. There was pretty much nothing. I did a TBR video, but what I did in the TBR video, I never did that readathon, which was pretty much primarily the whole of my August TBR. So I scratched that. I had a few vlogs that I did start, but I never finished. I did do one vlog when we went away camping, but I was so busy I never had the chance to edit it, and then by the time I got to like, oh, I could edit it, I was not in the mood. So we didn't really do anything in August. I apologise, but it is summer holidays. My daughter was backwards and forwards as well, but I also was busy even when I didn't have Alice. So yeah, apologies. I'm hoping from September onwards there's gonna be some content, but also I'm not gonna like completely say there is, because I'm just going with the flow. I'm just going with my mood. If I want to do something, I'll do it. If I don't want to do something, I won't do it. At the minute, I'm just not reading as much. I'm busy. I've got a lot going on. There's stuff going on personally that I'm really excited for, but I don't want to talk about until I know it's definitely happening. So yeah, so apologies for not having anything in August. I'm hoping specifically for September that there will be a few vlogs, because I'm going to participate in a couple of readathons, so I do want to sort of vlog some of that. But before I go into the books I want to read in September, I just want to go through the couple of books that I read in August. So no particular order, I'm just going by what was in my lap. So I read The War of Two Queens by Jennifer L. Armentrout. So this is book 4 in the Blood and Ash series. I've been wanting to read this for ages, but I put it off purely because I thought this was the last book in the series. I was wrong. There's actually a 6-book series. So I was just like, oh, okay, well, I want to read it now. So I picked it up. I've picked this up about 3 times, I think, in like the last couple of months, and I just couldn't get past a specific spot, just because I felt it was really slow. Also, like, Castile wasn't involved in like a little bit of this book, and I was just like, ugh. But once I got past that initial slumpy bit that I felt I had in this book, loved it. A 5-star read. Like, I must admit there was some flaws in this. I felt like the first bit of this book, like the first like third of it, maybe a quarter of this book, I felt was a bit slow. Like I said, Castile wasn't involved, so it was very much Poppy in a bit of a mood because she's not with Castile, sort of thing. And then we've like got Castile and his drama. I don't want to go in just in case you haven't read this book. Like, I love Poppy and Castile and I love them together, so because they were separated I was just like, ooh. And I just felt like Poppy was a little bit moany, and like she also was very much like having to be a queen and doing some war and plotting to get Castile back and things like that, and I just felt like she was whinging a lot. But once I got past that and the nitty gritty came, oh my god, brilliant. I did also feel, now I do not mind smut in book. I read dark romances. I love books that do have a lot of smut in it. But I feel because we didn't get a lot of Castile and Poppy content in this one, once we did, pretty much every bit of content of Poppy and Castile was sex, which I'm fine with. I'm not bothered by it. But I was just like, come on, we're in the middle of some shit. You know. I was just a bit like, oh. That was sort of the feel I got. But nevertheless, I still love this book. Poppy is a badass. And the massive big reveals, specifically the end, I was just like, oh god. And the cliffhanger just makes me want to pick up the next book badly. You know, there are some flaws in this book, but quite frankly, I don't really care, because I do love this series. I love our characters, and I just think Jennifer L. Armentrout is amazing at what she does with this series. So 5 stars. I also read To Find a Night by Bridget Camera. This was a buddy read with Lucy and also for my fairy loot. I picked this up. I was meant to vlog. I loved this book so much that I didn't vlog. And it was pointless me trying to vlog, like making a vlog up when I just finished the book. I was thinking about just doing like a review vlog, but like sort of video for my fairy loot. But I was just like, nah. This book is amazing. I love Bridget Camera. I've read every single book of hers. I didn't think I had, but when I actually saw the books that she writ, I actually have read them all. So I've read her like YA ones, which are Letters to the Lost, More Than We Can Tell, Call It What You Want. I've read that. I've read all 3 books in the Cursebreaker series, and I've just read this. I wasn't sure whether this was a second book. There is. Very excited. I love this book. This is very much a political fantasy more than a magical fantasy, and I'm not the best with political fantasies, but this, possibly because I very much like the author's writing style and how she does her characters, possibly because it's a YA, maybe that's why I enjoyed this, but I just really loved this book. Basically we follow Tessa, who is an apothecary, and her like partner in crime, Wes, and basically they've been stealing a specific petal called from this flower called the moonflower, and this petal has got this sort of stuff in it that can cure this big like plague that's going on in their land called Kandala. And basically there's sort of rifts between like the poor and the rich. The rich basically can get this medicine from this flower to starve away from this like virus that's happening, but the poor, if they haven't got any money, tough shit basically. And so Tessa and Wes have been stealing it from the royals and giving it out to the people who can't afford it and all of that. And then, long story cut short, basically Wes gets captured, and Tessa just like thinks he's dead and all that, goes into the kingdom sort of to do something. She at first was going to steal some more moonflower petals, then she sort of realised that she had some sort of stuff on her that could be made into poison, so she was thinking about poisoning the king. Turns out that Wes is actually the prince. And then all of this goes on, and then we all like sort of find out that like all the politics, and that actually there's more to meet the eye in regards to this disease and this cure and all of that. It ended on such a cliffhanger that I can't wait for book 2. I absolutely loved it. It was really good. And actually I read this before I read The War of Two Queens, and this actually made me really much want to read fantasy, hence why I picked up The War of Two Queens. And it has made me into a fantasy mood, so we love that. So that was 5 stars. I read Suspicious Minds by Gwenda Bond. This was for a secret vlog. I was basically going to do a Stranger Things themed secret vlog. I read this. This took me forever to read, and I gave up by this point. I was like, nope, I don't want to do this vlog, so I scratched it. But I did read this. It was alright. I liked the fact that we understood Dr. Brenner a bit more and his twisted, messed up ways. I liked the fact that we understood the Hawkins laboratory, like Hawkins lab. I liked how the whole experiment sort of things happened and how 11 came to be. So this actually focuses on 11's mum, which if you've watched Stranger Things series, you know, basically her mum was told that she was pregnant and her daughter had it was a stillbirth, but she believed that actually no, she saw her daughter alive, and that Dr. Brenner stole 11, which obviously reading this, yes, he did, and all of that. And the reason why 11's mum is such in a comatose sort of, not comatose, but in a weird, like, not with it state, is Dr. Brenner basically electrocuted her. It was good. Like, it made sense in some things. At one point, I thought that the Upside Down was even here early on in 1969, which is what we're set in, like the summer of 1969, but it wasn't. One of the test subjects could see into the future, so she could see 11, she saw the Upside Down and like Becca and stuff like that, so that was really interesting. I did enjoy it. It just got a bit slow. It got to the point where I knew where everything was going, whether it's because some of it's explained in the Stranger Things series, and obviously this was done in, like, I think written between series 1 and 2 possibly. Like, I enjoyed it, but it was just a slow ride. It took me like 2.5 weeks to read this. So yeah, I gave this, I think, 3.5 stars, 3 or 3.5 stars. It was alright, but yeah. I then read One Drop by Peter Kalu. This was for a tour spot with Kaleidoscopic Tours. I just saw a couple of like emails from them, and some of their books sounded really good, so I just sort of was like, I'm really interested, and this was one of them. So this is actually part of a series, which I can't remember what the series is called. Does it tell me in here? Yeah, so this is sort of a trip type of novels. 3 separate stories, all taking place in the same imagined world. So the first book was 3 Bullets. The second was The Second Coming, and then that was One Drop. But you don't need to really read either books before this. So basically, we follow 2 black radicals called Axel and Dune, who are arrested, and they are sent into this like prison camp for those who defy the blood's white supremacist government. They are implanted with Sims. Basically, long story cut short, they're in this prison to try and get both the gay out of them and the black out of them. And these Sims sort of corrupt them, make them sort of forget their like emotions and stuff like that. And it's just basically these 2 characters trying to survive and get out of this prison, and also for their love to survive. This is one of those books where you have every emotion. I was so angry in pretty much throughout this book by the racism with the skin colour, by the fact that they're gay and everything like that. Like it, and it wasn't just like blacks. It was sort of all different types of, if you're not fitting into this white supremacist government, which is very much religious as well. Like, I was so angry, but then also I just loved Axel and Dune's relationship and how they kept one another going. And then, oh my god, it was so heartbreaking. I sobbed at the end because I was like, what? Not expecting. This is a book that you just do not know what's going to happen. I read this in a day. Like, it's not a big book, but I read this in a day, and I haven't read a book in a day in a long time. And I was just like, oh my god, yes. So yeah, if you haven't read it, I really recommend you reading it. It's very much sort of appropriate to times that's going on in the 21st century. But also, it is a dystopian book, but it's one of those books where you think, actually, this may possibly be happening. We just don't know. This probably could happen. And yeah, just to expect to have every emotion. 5-star read. I recommend it. I then read Family Remains by Lisa Jewell, which is the sequel to The Family Upstairs. So I gave The Family Upstairs 4 stars. I gave this 4 stars as well. I enjoyed it. But it's one of those books where I just think we didn't need. Like, I liked sort of understanding our characters a bit more and seeing what happened after book 1. And like, obviously they all got this lot of money and all that. And basically, Libby, who was in the first book, we obviously now see her with this like long lost family that she had. But then we also have a side character called Rachel, who we know has sort of seen her husband's death, and she's been told that her husband's been killed and it's a murder, but they've got no things, and it sort of interlinks Rachel and Lucy, which I didn't realise until we were getting into the book. And then we also had bones of a young woman who was killed many years ago, which turned out to be Birdie, who was also in book 1. It all sort of interlinked together. It gave you some answered questions from book 1, but it's that kind of book where I'm like, I enjoyed it, I wanted to know what happened, and there were some bits that surprised me, but also at the same time I'm a bit like, was this needed? Because we sort of knew what went on in the first book, like what happened to Birdie, we knew what happened to Birdie, sort of thing. I think my favourite bit of this book was Rachel, because throughout this book I kind of felt like she killed her husband, and what her husband did, I kind of was like, yeah, I understand why you did. And then it turns out that actually no, it wasn't her, it was someone else, and so she covered this person and protected them, and I liked that. So yeah, I gave this 4 stars because, you know, I did read this book really quickly, I did enjoy it. I just felt it was unnecessary. Like, I would have been quite happily with the family upstairs, and that's it. Following on by the same author, I also read The Night She Disappeared by Lisa Jill. This was my buddy read with my readers' friends volunteer role that I do with a elderly lady. We decided to read this. She read this within a week, and she said it wasn't her favourite. This took me a while to read, but then I had like a gap between not speaking to her because I obviously had Alice, and so I pretty much just literally knuckled down and read the rest of this book in like 2 days. Yeah, I'm in agreement with my lady. The characters are two-dimensional. There is just nothing about these characters. There's no backstory, there's no sort of emotion. You just do not give a flying crud about them. And yeah, I just didn't enjoy it. I started like having an inkling of who might have done it and what happened and all of this. There was one bit that got revealed that I was shocked by, like I didn't expect that. But yeah, it was just a complete flop for me. I think I gave this 3.5 stars. But yeah, not impressed. I have noticed with Lisa Jill's book that I can be a bit on and off with. But yeah, that's the books that I read in August. Now on to September's TBR. So for September, I am hoping to participate in 2, possibly 3 readathons. My daughter goes back to school in September. I actually have stuff in the background that I'm doing in preparation for something else that's happening, which I can't talk about until I know it's definitely happening. So I'm doing some of that. Also, my daughter on Friday, so the beginning of September, has to go to hospital. We've got like a day admission. She has to have an MRI, but basically she needs to have general anaesthetic, so that's going on. It's also her birthday, and then we've also got her birthday party the following day of her birthday. So a lot's happening in September, and I also want to participate in 3 readathons. 2 I'm definitely doing, hopefully. The third one is Greek Godathon. It's like a little mini week one, I think. It's the Pandora's Box sort of theme. But Esmay hasn't put the video up of the prompts yet, so I don't know whether I'm doing it, whether I can do it or not. But we'll see. So yeah, so I don't know the prompts, but we'll see. We'll see. But I am participating in the Upside Down Readathon and bookoplathon. So let's get into those 2 readathons and what I'm reading for them. So for Upside Down Readathon, this is hosted by loads of different booktubers like Liv, Nahomy, Kendall, all of them. And basically it's from the 5th of September to the 11th of September, and it's basically just all to do with Stranger Things, really. So yeah, there's reading prompts, and then there's photo, like bookstagram prompts, like photo prompts. I don't think I'll probably do the photo prompts per se, but we shall see. So just to go through the hosts, I'll put the image up here, but we've got Kendall, Jordan, Caitlin, Lauren, Liv and Nahomy, and like I said, this is from the 5th to the 11th of September, so it's just a little mini one. So we have 5 reading prompts, and then we have 4 photo prompts. Whether I will do the photo prompts, we'll see. So the first reading prompt is to read a book with lights on the cover. So obviously to do with Joy and the lights when she spoke to Will. And so I am going to be reading Turn Off the Key by Ruth Ware. Now you will see there is one light on in this house. I do have quite a few books with lights on the cover. I've got The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager, and I've got other thrillers. But I wanted to read this purely because this gives me fall vibes, and I'm wanting to try and start reading fall vibed books. And also this also fits in another prompt, which is the second prompt, which is read a psychological thriller. So obviously Ruth Ware is known for psychological thrillers. It says on here that it's a psychological thriller, so I'm going with it. So I chose this because it fits both prompts, because I wanted to try and fit as many books to prompts as possible. So basically we follow Rowan, who comes across an advert which seems to be too good to be true, a live-in nanny position with a very generous salary. What she doesn't know is that she's stepping into a nightmare, one that will end with a child dead and her in a cell awaiting trial for murder. She knows she's made mistakes, but she's not guilty, at least not of murder, which means someone else is. I've been wanting to read this book for ages, and a lot of people say this is a really, really good book by Ruth Ware, but I've put it off purely because when it comes to child death, child murder, I have to be in the right frame of mind. Obviously I'm a mum, I have a young child, and it's just like my worst nightmare sort of thing. So I've had to be in the mood, but this just gives me full vibes purely because we're like, this actually book is 5th of September 2017. This is like the first bit. You know, we've got like 7th of September 2017, so we're in, you know, September vibes, which is when I'm starting to read this. So I just thought this would be the perfect book because I'm reading it in the same time frame as this book is set in. So yeah, I'm really exciting. It says it's also got like a ghostly suspense in it. And this is actually going to be my first Ruth Ware book. I've got quite a few of this author's books, but I've not read it. So I'm going to be reading that for both lights on the cover and read a psychological thriller. Then for the third prompt is to read a book with multiple POVs, and I'm going to be reading Sawkill Girls by Claire Legrand. I've chosen this because it does have multiple POVs, and I've also chosen this because I actually had this book for my Stranger Things themed vlog that I was doing, because this apparently pretty much is very similar to exactly what happens in Stranger Things. We've got kids that have got supernatural powers. We've got this like really strange monster going on, like a laboratory sort of thing. This pretty much is very much the same as Stranger Things. So I want to read this because I think this is going to be perfect in a Stranger Things readathon. Also, it's got multiple POVs, and it just sounds like a very fun gothic horror thriller YA book. I'm very excited to read this. Then for the fourth prompt is read a book that includes a game or competition. I struggled with this. I do have a few books that have games or competitions in, but I wasn't in the mood to read them because they are very, very chunky books, and I was just like, I want to not read that many books or really that big chunky books, because I'm not going to be able to do this in a week, especially when I've got things happening like school starts then and everything like that. So I've sort of coincide this with the last prompt, which is read a host buddy read based on your favourite character. Now for the buddy reads, each host has chosen their favourite Stranger Things character and fit a book that matches that. Now my favourite character out of this list is Max and probably 11. So we've got Joy, we've got Dustin, we've got Max, we've got Steve, we've got 11, and we've got Will's sister, which I've completely forgotten her name, Nancy. So I was going to go for either Max, Nancy, or 11. I did actually do Nancy, which was for Naomi's choice of that, which was Lee's Shadow Graves by Jennifer Donnelly. I have requested from the library and it is in transit. I just don't know whether it's going to come in time. So I was just like, oh, I don't know. I did want to do, my original was Max, and that's for Caitlin. She chose Go Hunt Me by Kelly DeVos. That sounded brilliant and my kind of vibe, but again, wasn't in the library, and also I couldn't purchase it because I have had to report my card stolen because I got scammed, so I can't buy anything at the minute. So I ended up thinking, right, let's try 11, which was Liv's choice, which was When the Sky Fell on Splendor, which is Emily Henry's like sci-fi book. I've been really wanting to read that, but again, wasn't available in the library and I couldn't buy it. So I went with Dustin in the end, which was Jordan's pick, which is One Word Kill by Mark Lawrence. So that's what I'm going to read for the host buddy read. It was also on Kindle Unlimited, so, but also this book actually has Dungeons and Dragons in it, which is a game. So I don't know how much of that game is in the book, but it is mentioned in the synopsis, so I'm going with it. But basically, we're in January 1986. We're following 15-year-old boy genius Nick Hayes, who discovers he's dying. I think he's got leukemia or something. Basically, Nick and his Dungeons and Dragons playing friends are used to living in their imaginations, but when a new girl, Maya, joins the group and reality becomes weirder than the fantasy world they visit in their weekly games, none of them are prepared for what comes next. Yeah, it's like a sci-fi. It's apparently, a lot of people say it's got the body sort of vibes from Stephen King. I don't know too much about it, but it is 205 pages. It's on Kindle Unlimited, and basically I need to read it for the buddy read because that's the only option I could do, and it fits for reading the game or competition prompt, so we're going with that. So I've got 3 books, these 2, and then One Word Kill. One Word Kill is literally just over 205 pages, and this is 447, and Turn of the Key is about 357. So if I knuckle down, I probably can do it. So those 3 books I'm going to be reading for the Upside Down Readathon, and then we're on to bookoplathon. So bookoplathon, we all know it's by Becca. She has a bookoplathon sort of game, TBR game she does. This is a month-long readathon. So basically, I decided to do 5 rolls. Obviously, if I roll a double, then I have to add another roll. So I did 5 rolls. It's the same sort of pretense to all of her games. I'll link my last bookoplathon stuff down in the description. But I will now insert all my rolls. I didn't print it all out or do anything like that because I just didn't have the patience all the time, so I've just done it all through my tablet and everything like that, and then I'll go through that TBR. Saw all of my rolls, so now going to what books I'm going to be reading for those prompts. The first roll was Small Book, which is a book under 300 pages, and I'm going to be reading Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. I think I said that right. I've got this on the library. I've been wanting to read this for a while. I know that Sydney over at Sid Bookworm on BookTube, she absolutely loves this series. So it's only short. It's literally about, 195 pages. basically we're in Area X, which is an Edenic wilderness, an environmental disaster zone, a mystery for 30 years. Basically, the Southern Reach, a secretive government agency, has sent 11 expeditions to investigate Area X. One has ended in a mass suicide, another in a hail of gunfire, the 11th in a fatal cancer epidemic. Now 4 women embark on a 12th expedition into the unknown. I don't know what to expect out of this book. Stephen King's blurb on here to say creepy and fascinating. Yeah, everyone says it's strange, but it's really good. So I'm going to give it a go. So we're going to be reading that for a book under 300 pages. Then the second role and the second prompt was published or set in 1999 or before. I've really struggled with this, but I've gone by publication date rather than the book set in it, because I couldn't tell in any of my books whether it was or not. So I'm going with The Memory Game by Nikki French. This is a very second-hand copy. Now this technically is out of the catchment. This was published in 1998, so it's only a year before, but that's what we're going with because I can't find anything else apart from one that's too long and I don't want to do this. But basically, a skeleton is unearthed in a Martello's garden. Others rattle ominously in their cupboards, for the bones belong to their teenage daughter Natalie, who went missing 25 years ago, so the murder must be very close to home. Does Natalie's childhood friend Jane, now divorcing Claude Martello, hold the key to the mystery, and are all her memories of a golden girl at the heart of an idyllic extended family false? So it's a thriller. Yeah, we're going with that. So this was published in 1998 by Penguin Books. That's what we're going with. I don't know much about this book, so yeah. Then the third prompt was community shelf. So I literally put community shelf. I put 16 prompts down on my tablet. So I rolled the dice, which you saw. I landed on 7, and that was a photo of you reading upside down, which is the photo prompts of the Stranger Things Upside Down Readathon. I haven't obviously talked about the photo prompts just because I don't know whether I'm going to do them, but I landed on that, so we'll definitely do that. So I'm hoping to vlog the Upside Down Readathon, so hopefully if I do, I will insert that picture. If not, I will certainly insert the picture in my wrap up to show that I've done it. And then we landed on, for the fourth prompt, colour wheeled. So I did a spinner, that landed on white. So I have to read a book that's white on the cover or got some sort of white on the cover. So I've gone with a book that I've been wanting to read for ages, which is The 7 Visitations of Sydney Burgess by Andy Marino. Basically, this is a horror. It's sort of to do about possession. Basically, Sydney opens her front door and a mass intruder knocks her briefly unconscious, then everything begins to collapse. She wakes up in hospital and she finds out that the intruder is now lying dead in her home, and so they believe that she's killed him. Basically, she's got horrific memories of past addiction surface, and a natural darkness starts whispering in her ear. It begins to change into something unimaginable, and the darkness has a terrible craving of its own. So it says here, from an electric new voice in horror comes a terrifying tale of possession with a sinister twist. I've been wanting to read this for ages. I think I am going to be messed up and confused. I'm very excited to read this. So that's what we're reading for white. Then the fifth prompt, which was like, oh God, I got a bit upset by it and I nearly was going to give up and do another one and then I have to put 2 books in that prompt. But thankfully I managed to find a book that fit it. But it was third person perspective. I also rolled a double, so I have to roll again. And I was just like, oh my God, what book have I got that's third person? I just remembered it's here. Sawkill Girls, thankfully, is in third person because it's multiple POVs, but it's not like I said, it's like Zoe said and blah blah blah, and it's like Zoe did this and that, which is what the third person is. So I'm very glad, because also I will be reading this for the Upside Down Readathon. So thankfully I found a book as I was getting quite nervous. And then my roll again, for number 6, I landed on small book again, which is under 300 pages, and I'm quite happy with these rolls. I have 2 options because I couldn't decide. I've got the Dangers of Smoking in Bed and Nahomy's Room. They're both under 300 pages. They're like 200 and so pages. Both have like horror vibes, so let me know which one you think I should read because I can't decide. So they are the books for bookoplathon. So not that many books, like, you know, 6 rolls. One of them is a photo prompt, so I'm really happy with that. And then we are on to like book clubs, things like that. So for my 12 book challenge, which I haven't been keeping up to date, but for September, it's Middle Game by Shannon Maguire. I do want to read this because it's been a book I want to read for ages, but I can't purchase it at the moment. So once I've got my card, I will do, and then I'll definitely be reading that and probably vlogging that because it's a book I've been wanting to read for ages. So I'll be doing that. For my Fairy Loot vlog series that hopefully I will actually video, me and Lucy have decided we're going to read this Specious Grace by Emily Feed. This is 3 weddings, 3 funerals, 1 more chance to save them all. It's got it's like a fantasy romance. We've got demons, we've got killers, we've got magic. I'm really excited to read this book. It's one of the recent Fairy Loot books we've got, so hopefully I will enjoy this, we'll enjoy this and all of that. And lastly, I'm depending if I get time, I do want to read Katrina's Patreon book club, which is A Lesson in Vengeance by Victoria Lee. I want to read that. I don't know what it's about, to be honest, but again, I need to purchase it because it's not available at my library and I can't at the minute. So hopefully I might get around to that. At the moment, I've paused my Patreon with Sid just because I'm not really doing much in it. I'm not participating in the live, like the sprints, live shows, anything like that because of the time difference, and I've just been really busy if it's on a time that I can do. And also I haven't been reading some of the books because either they're not my vibe or they're just too heavily into fantasy, like they're more like adult fantasy rather than YA. So I've paused that for the minute, so I'm just doing Katrina's because it's not, it's like different genres, not just fantasy and all that. But yeah, that's the TBR. I might fit other books in, I might not, but hopefully I can do this. I have got a lot going on now, so we'll see. But I do want to try and just make time in the evenings to read, even if I read in bed or whatever. So we'll see. But I'm going to try and vlog for the Upside Down Readathon, and I might vlog like a week of bookoplathon books. But I'm not going to vlog every day, like every week sort of thing, because I just can't do it. But yeah, thank you for watching. Let me know if there's any books here that you think I should like really get to first. And yeah, I will see you again in the next video. Bye!